Myo Renge Kyo Nam Myo Renge Kyo Myo Renge Kyo. Hi everyone, Namo Myo Renge Kyo. Thanks for being here. Thanks for joining me. I have thought many times of doing a specific video or specific podcast addressing the silent meditations in Gongyo. There are different versions. You may not be aware of that. TLK, the Threefold Lotus Kuon, has its own version. I have my own Gongyo book. You can get them through lulu.com. They're not expensive. They have the entire literature that you're familiar with. Same old chapters that you're familiar with. And instructions on how to do Shodai, chanting Daimoku, as well as how to do Gongyo. The whole process is here. You can just start on your own and become adept at Gongyo. And so before I dive into this, and questions generally center around a certain meditation instead of all of them, but I'm going to go through them all because even if you think you know what they mean or why you're doing them, which is essentially the question, Gongyo, as you may or may not realize, is a very abbreviated version of what the practice looked like in Nichiren's day and prior to Nichiren. But Gongyo being specific to Lotus Sutra students and Nichiren's teaching. Since its beginning, Buddhism has been an oral tradition. This is how Shakyamuni taught. He didn't write anything down. And his followers would repeat what he said over and over and over again to memorize the teaching. And I always found it fascinating that because it was taught this way, the learning, the memorization by repetition was all done in the first person. And I find that incredibly fascinating on so many levels. At times it makes me giggle. At other times it really makes me really get this teaching that Shakyamuni was giving us as a method for our own experience of what he had experienced, his own Buddha mind awakening. And all of his teachings are about us taking ownership of that. Because if I teach you something to repeat that begins with I this, I that, then you're saying, I am the Buddha, I am enlightened, I have existed, I have this, I have that. You're owning it. So it's an amazing teaching method. Even if you don't get it at first, eventually, I'm saying this is me. And what you're experiencing in that moment is that division between your samsaric human mind and your mind of enlightenment. You're tangibly wrestling with this imaginary wall that you've built, that we've built, that I've built. You're already there. It's like this is a stupid analogy, but it reminds me of a statement of it's meant as an insult. That person is dead. They just don't know enough to lay down and stop. Well, it's the opposite. But what Shakyamuni is telling you is you're already Buddha. Stop avoiding it. Stop putting these obstacles in your way. Because this is what the samsaric life of suffering is. When you attach yourself to absolutely everything and build this identity and identify and fortify this ego, you're creating this immense wall, making it more and more difficult for you to just simply live life, simply experience time. Just experience it, move through it, celebrate it, eschew what slows you down, gets in your way, and focus instead on the amazing opportunity you have with every breath. So, what's all that? Why am I spouting all that now? Because it relates directly to Gongyo. If you're teaching yourself to be enlightened, to awaken, you're appealing, what you're doing is appealing to your existing enlightenment. You're trying to, you're forcing your way through your samsaric obstacles, and you're going, I see you. You know, I've used the cornfield analogy before. It's like if a full-grown corn and you're trying to walk through the field, it could be just, even if you're following the ground, you know, you're pushing things out of the way, and you're pushing things, and you turn and you go maybe this way, maybe that way, and you keep struggling and you keep getting hit in the head with ears of corn. But at some point, you get to the other side of the field and, whoa, you know, clear blue sky and nothing cutting you, no more husks, no more, right? That's kind of like chanting to Gohonzon, except that you can see, you know, just like you know when you're in the middle of the cornfield, you can't see the blue sky, you can't see the open air, you can't, but you know it's there. You just know it's there, so you keep driving toward it until it happens. And as I say that, you know, think about if you've ever been in a situation like that where you start to feel almost claustrophobic. You just got to get out of here. Your brain stops analyzing stuff and it just commits. You know what I'm talking about? Maybe uh, maybe you've had this experience in sports where you just can't seem to muscle the energy, right? Maybe you're in a competition and you're just done. You have no, but you've got to get there, and something happens. You stop thinking about all your obstacles, and you just go, "Well, I'm just gonna go." And when it, you know, I either just fall flat on my face, or I get there, it doesn't, competition, all of that, my feet hurting, whatever you're doing, it doesn't matter anymore. You just go, you know what, and you go. That's when you fuse with Gohonzon. Those of you who don't know what I'm talking about when I say that. When you fuse with Gohonzon, the calligraphy on your Gohonzon will seem to detach itself from the paper. I know, it sounds crazy. That's why, you know, if I meet you personally, I'll get into that. But just know that there's a point where you're so into it, into your daimoku, that the lawnmower outside and the stress you're feeling about the day, and on and on and on and on. Screw them. I'm just going to look at this one character on Gohanzen and I'm going to say, do it. Give it to me. Open, whatever it is that exhorts you to drop all the other crap and just focus on your Daimoku with Gohanzen. And I guarantee you, if and when you get to that point, the cornrows will disappear. It will be you and your Buddha nature mirrored in that Gohanzen. I remember times where I've told the Gohanzen to simply disappear. Just wherever the commitment comes from to make you just do it, you'll fuse with Gohanzen. And then there's no going back. Every time you chant, you're going to want to be there. And you may get there in 5 seconds, but you have to get there. That's your commitment to your own Buddhahood. If you're not getting there, then you've got to ask yourself, what is it that you're so attached to? Why are you doing this practice? There's nothing that you're attached to that's real. Nothing. It's all temporary tendencies and conditions. Medical issues, Trump, Bolsonaro, earthquakes, tsunamis. Imagine the people in Indonesia who dealt with that tsunami. Just saw a movie about that again. The forces around us, we just take for granted. La, 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 I'm human. Okay. So silent meditations. What they're for? All right, it all comes together here. Gongyo is an abbreviation of those practices that for thousands of years people have done, repeating all day long, over and over again, the entire Lotus Sutra, front to back. All 28 chapters and even the opening and closing chapters, the innumerable meanings and the universal worthy, all of it. As soon as you get done, start chanting and start reciting the whole thing. Some even other chapters of other sutra that they're working on. This was Nichiren's advice in the Lotus Sutra. There's Gosho, and we'll read them if I haven't already. I think I did one on women, maybe menstruation, I'm not sure. And Nichiren told her, and she told him what she was doing in her practice, and now she was repeating certain chapters of the Lotus Sutra repeatedly. And he advised her on all that. All that's good, but you might want to also do this and look at this one. And by the way, your motivation for doing that one, let's adjust that a little bit, because your intent, your attitude, your understanding, this is what Buddhism is all about. So we've come in our modern era to, as Nichiren suggests, focus on the second chapter and the 16th chapter as chapters that basically, if you study the whole of the Lotus Sutra, come to find that those 2 chapters represent the core, the essential vitamins and nutrients of the first half and the second half of the Lotus Sutra. The provisional and the essential. And in the Lotus Sutra, the provisional is quite something compared to previous sutras in their entirety are all provisional, you might say. But the second chapter of the Lotus nails a certain truth down, an ultimate truth of the method. And the second chapter, my terms are going to get confusing here, but the second of the two chapters, the 16th chapter, the lifespan of the Tathagata, is where he wipes away any doubt of in any previous teachings to that point, that Buddhahood was somehow a special thing only achievable to certain people at a certain time, on and on and on. That's where he dropped the bomb and said, no, your Buddhahood is just waiting on you to do right now in this life. That's the 16th chapter, the core of that essential teaching. The second being all that business about earlier teachings has all been to get me here. I haven't fully, I've been keeping something from you. And here it is, boom. This is the one vehicle, the one way. There are no two, there are not three, there is only the one. This is the one method for everyone to attain enlightenment. That's the Hoben chapter, right? The second chapter. So to make this practice more available, more universal, you basically are condensing all of the recitations of all the sutras in these two. So consider yourself lucky. Some people complain about the time it takes to do Gongyo. Imagine doing it the old way, old school. So all of that is to say that the silent meditations are, yet again, a focused reminder, if you will, a footnote to grasp the concepts you've just recited. Okay? So when you see them in that light, I think there's an easy, it's easy to think that the meditations, prayers, if you like, I don't like that term, are something extra or something added. They're simply focal points to get, well, because people, especially new people to Buddhism, Nichiren Buddhism, one of the first questions is, what are these sounds I'm making? What do they mean? What does this say? And there's a translation in the back of the book, but it really won't do you any good, because it's more about training your mind, the rhythm, the sound, the repetition, the learning, the difficulty of the pronunciation. All of those are part of your practice as a human being to push the monkeys out of your mind, to give you so much to think about, hear, say, intonate, feel, vibrate. Nice, clear, loud. No, no, that's not Gongyo. My Jisa Zenen, that's Gongyo. With intent. That knocks your mind out of your human mind out of the way. That's what recitation is for. But when you're done with recitation, you have a silent meditation that says, oh, this is what I just did. This is what I awaken. I feel it. When in the first meditation we offer gratitude to Bonten, Taishaku, Niten, Gaten, Myojoten, and all other Shoten Zenjin, the universal forces within all life, the guardians of Buddhism, who night and day protect those who embrace their Buddha nature and the sanctity of all life in the universe. Namu Myoho Renge Kyo. Those seem like meaningful words, but if you haven't studied and you don't know why you're doing Gongyo, then those are just pretty words. But when you study, the more you go back and you do Gongyo and you read that meditation, you may just stop and go, oh, now I understand what that means. Now I know what I'm saying. So what I'm saying to you is, These are shorthands of the concepts of Buddhism. This is Buddhism with all of its varied stories and expedient means. He was just continually saying the same thing. It's just that everyone understands differently. So he created a huge palette of colors for everyone, no matter where they come from. Even colorblind would see color. So I offer gratitude to Bonten, Taishaku, Niten, Gaten, Myojiten, and all other Shoten Genjin. What are those? Okay, they're described in many, many sutras, not just the Lotus. Is it important to know what each one means? It's helpful. I encourage you, if there's anything you read in any of this that catches your ear and says, what the heck is this? Research it. Dig into it. We have an internet now. Or ask your friends, ask me, ask somebody who may have more experience in Buddhism. But as Buddha would say, develop your own understanding. Don't just take words and repeat them. That doesn't help you in any way. It's meaningless. There's a reason for that word. But now, if you notice, there's a comma there. And right after all of that, even if you don't know what those Bonten, Taishaku, Niten, Gaten, Myojiten, and all other Shoten Zenjin, I recommend you look up Shoten Zenjin. The comma then says, the universal forces within all life. Oh, those things. That's what we're talking about. Oh, so I offer gratitude to the universal forces within all life. Oh, now this is starting to make more sense to me. The same forces that I manifested my own path through. The same forces that created this universe, this planet, this parents, this me. Comma, the guardians of Buddhism. Whoa. How are these the guardians of Buddhism? The universal forces within all life. That touched a nerve. That felt like something I know. The guardians of Buddhism? What is that saying? That's saying that the very forces that manifest life are the guardians of Buddhism. What's a guardian? Something that protects, upholds, makes safe, makes manifest, makes opportunity for, availability for. Oh, right, the very forces that create me are what protect me. Again, your Buddhahood is inherent. Who night and day protect those who embrace their Buddha nature. There it is, spelled out. And the sanctity of all life in the universe. I offer gratitude to the life process itself. That's the first meditation. The second meditation, which can throw people for a loop, the appreciation to the law of self-manifestation. We've already touched on that in the first prayer, the first meditation, the first silent meditation. Appreciation to the Shoten Zenjin, that we now understand are the very forces that manifest life. So in the second meditation, we show appreciation to that law, that immovable process that brings about you and me. And with it, our Buddha nature, yes? Our Buddha mind. So we're saying the same thing again, but we're going to use different words. I solemnly praise the true law of self-manifestation. That is the true law. The Shoten Genjin is the true law. Myoho Renge Kyo is the true law. of self-manifestation. We are manifest of ourselves. When we consider our experience, our life experience, and we seek out our life experience through the lens, the perceptive ability of our Buddha mind, let alone our human mind, we are still identifying a self, are we not? When you identify yourself as a self, you are manifesting yourself. This is not a complicated idea, but it's a very profound one, right? Our goal with Buddhism is to manifest our Buddha mind. And therein lies the difficulty, because Buddha spoke so often about, well, there's not really a self. It's not that there is no self. That is, the suchness of being is identified as being a self because we are in samsara. We are in a, not a place, we are in a mental state. We are in a tendencies and conditions bundle that allows us to perceive the very state that gets in our way of just being free, liberated of attachments. Sorry, my nose is itchy. So samsara itself is a self-manifestation. We manifest this experience in order to transcend it. It's kind of funny. But Buddha mind, our Buddha-ness, is something that doesn't require being known. The nature, the profound nature of life doesn't require attention. We can only perceive the amazing nature of the life process by being a perceiver of it. And the very creation of that perceiver makes us samsaric, makes us then a perceiver of things. And so the trick, if you will, is to, while you are a perceiver of things, for however long you are in this samsaric condition, to go ahead and participate and be the best perceiver you can be with the knowledge that you can see beyond it, beyond your self-manifestation, and manifest your Buddha. But it's your Buddha. It's still self-manifestation. Buddhism isn't about becoming something else or someone else. It's about changing your perception so that you liberate yourself to live fully. And what do you liberate yourself from? Politics, insurance costs, rent, the need to eat, sex, all of the things us we humans are attached to. We don't try to deny them. That's nihilistic. We don't want to get rid of sex. We don't want to get rid of security. We want to understand it and see it for what it truly is. Just some mundane thing that's part of samsaric existence. Remove our good and bad from it, our need and not need from it, and simply experience it as part of this journey through time that allows us to be Buddha. So, we praise the true law of self-manifestation. The law of self-manifestation is that you're here because you're manifest of this tremendous flow of energies that is the process of life. But although it comes packaged with all this stuff, You don't have to hang on to it. You don't have to be completely controlled by your thoughts about it. That's the true law, Myoho Renge Kyo, of self-manifestation. Is that go ahead, be in it fully. If you're going to be in it all the way. Unattached. Experience it without the emotional roller coasters because of attachment, because of ego. Because it's not yours, because yours implies that you're a thing along with them. You're just an experience. You're an experience of the process of life. Whoa! At what point do the waves on the ocean recognize that they are the ocean? I mean, it's that simple. We're waves. But there would be no waves without an ocean. When the wave crashes into the sand at the beach, is it then that it goes, oh, I'm an ocean? I laugh at my own analogies, but seriously, that's all self-manifestation is. And the law of self-manifestation is understanding that that self-manifestation is precious only for the gift it gives us of perception of no self, of no ego, if you will. That all this stuff is for us to play. It's not for us to get hung up and attached to. Somebody's anger toward us or somebody's deception of us can crush us emotionally. But they didn't do it to us. We chose to go down that path. People used to throw insults at me, and I would laugh at them. And they couldn't understand why they couldn't hurt my feelings. Because my feelings are mine. I'll do with them what I please. Your attempt to manipulate them is funny. Does that make sense? The core of the Juryo chapter of Honmon, the supreme law hidden in the depths of the Lotus Sutra, not so hidden. The inscrutable essence of the universe. All of these are different ways of saying the same thing over and over again. This life force from which I come, from which I experience every moment of this beingness. The perfect fusion of Taiji and Qi. Oh, that's from Chinese. The Chinese have these wonderful concepts of energy. Qi being the bioelectric force of life. Taiji being the motive of it, the motion, the what we say intent. When we put intent to energy, we produce Chuan. Tai Chi Chuan. Tai Chi Chuan. From Wuji, empty circle or point, to instantiation of motive, pushing energy, Qi, toward manifestation. Once again, self-manifestation. It's all self-manifestation. An awakening is self-manifestation without all of the other crap attached to it. Right? But understanding all of these various concepts comes from study. And when the ahas hit you, when you do this, this is a very shorthand of reminding you of the things you know. Let's continue. The entity of time without beginning, the entity of the Buddha of absolute freedom. The entity of time without beginning. If time has no beginning, let's take it apart, then is it time? What is this thing we call time? It is, again, and you can get as scientific as you want about it, it's simply a measurement. And it's more a measurement of space than it is time. You really can't separate those two, can you? Space is time. Time is space. There can be no time without space. There can be no space without an experience of it, which you could then argue experiences time. Might be some little lights going on up there in the attic of our minds. Time is experience, tendencies and conditions. We've reasoned ourselves to have lived so many years on a planet in a universe that was created of the same energies that we are created. What is time again? The entity of Buddha of absolute freedom. Well, that's the same thing, isn't it? To be absolutely free is to be unencumbered in this life by the accoutrement of it. You hear it all the time. We've got to live moment to moment. Live in the moment. Live in the now. And yet, there's no now. Try to find it. Right now. The time it takes you to think about it is already gone. There is no now. There is only this inertia. I talk about it in my videos all the time. Life is inertia. It is energy in action. So to understand that this marking of time is artificial, that the Buddha of absolute freedom is knowing that the eternal manifestation of the 10 worlds, the embodiment of Ichinen Sanzen, the oneness of person and law, the manifestation of all phenomena as both a reflection and result of my own making in this universe. It's all saying the same stuff over and over again, just from a different point of view. Maybe you'll get it if you look here. Maybe you need to look under the couch. Oh, there it is. It wasn't there before. Yes, it was. The couch was in the way. Ichinen Sanzen, another one of those concepts you might want to read about. You'll certainly hear me talk about it in the 3,000 Realms in a Single Thought Moment. That is Ichinen Sanzen. This Buddhism, there's dozens of terms for the same thing, because this is what Shakyamuni was trying to do, is go at this knowledge from several vantage points, because different people need to hear different things in order to get the same point. But let me back up a little bit here. Buddha of absolute freedom, the eternal manifestation of the 10 worlds. What is that? Well, if you dig into the 10 worlds, you'll find that they're mathematical and psychological equation that dissect our tendencies and conditions in our samsaric human mind. And when you dig into them deep enough, you'll get to the 10 factors of life, which, by the way, if you'll recall, the end of the Hoben chapter in Gongyo is Nyose Sho, Nyose In, Nyose En, Nyose Kan, Nyose Ho, Nyose On, Maku Gyodo, right? That's of the 10 worlds. This is it. Buddhism also uses mathematical reasoning to get you to the point. The embodiment of Ichinen Sanzen. The embodiment. I am the embodiment of my own inertia as well as the entirety of the inertia. They are one, but I experience them through my own perceptive filters. So that fools me into thinking I own my own inertia. But the inertia I experience is the inertia of the entirety of life, of this universe, which is incredibly fast. Therefore, it doesn't say therefore, but I'm saying therefore. The oneness of person and law, what I just said. I am the law, and the law is me. Yoren Geikyo, Ichinin Sanzen, Shoten Zenjen, the inertia of life. That is a forceful thing. It's a very energetic thing. Therefore, all phenomena, what are phenomena? Things we experience. Everything I experience, I will say it in a different way, is both a reflection of my own thoughts, my ego, my samsaric reality, the result of my own making in this universe, and a reflection of it. Because in order to make it, I have to see it. And in order to see it, I must develop an I consciousness. I must develop an I. You see, the trap is ingenious, amazing. It's also precious. While you're here, don't discount that. Don't get rid of it. Embrace it. This is the word used. Embrace it. So that you can release the tension of itness, suchness, and return to your own just being. I also give thanks for the immeasurable benefits I have received, like this Gongyo book, like getting it, like seeing a flower in the morning, an orchid. You want to know what that means? Get a morning glory and try to catch it when it opens in the morning. Then you'll know what immeasurable benefits you have. That you could see it, perceive it, smell it, look at it, watch it, feel time go by without feeling time. Time without beginning. That's the second meditation. It's a biggie. Right? Third meditation. Where are we? This is turning into a long one. Appreciation to all teachers and sages. I think that's kind of self-evident. So this one, I think it's a good thing to remind ourselves every now and again that although we are rediscovering this method for our awakening every time we sit in front of Guanzan, we owe a great debt, just some energies of thoughts and appreciation for the thousands of people before us, some of them great scholars, who've kept the method and the path clear, who've corrected course from those who would have us meander into just blindly repeating ourselves and giving our tithing and belonging to a group. It's not about any of that. And every now and again, somebody gets fed up with the rhetoric that skews this amazing teaching and corrects it. People like Nichiren, people like Tendai, people like Nagarjuna and Gongyo, and on and on. We need to keep them in mind and remind ourselves that if not for them. Fourth meditation. The attainment of excellent beings. Why is that? And I sincerely project my thoughts for the earliest possible realization of Kozen Rufu throughout the entire world. What are excellent beings? They are us when we pursue our Buddha nature, when we pursue our Buddha nature, we clear away, as I've been saying, these obstacles of attachments, these skewed emotional detachment, if you will, from our Buddha mind, our Buddha nature, the pain we feel, the sadness we feel for things, for events that are just they're just the things and events. Why take it upon ourselves to feel such tremendous pain? Stop it. It's easy to say, isn't it? So this fourth meditation is about that effort and to pursue our Bodhisattva practice, because Kozen Rufu is our taking that responsibility, not just for ourselves, but to say, hey, Mary, John, check this out. I know you're struggling right now, but you don't have to. Oh, what are you talking about? Huh? Let me show you. Let me share this with you. Give it a try. You take a college class for 3 months, not knowing if you're going to do anything with it in your life. 3 months, 3 lousy months. Give it a shot, a serious thought, and see if it doesn't change anything in your life. Give it a shot. More often than not, we'll succeed in influencing that person in a positive way, regardless of what happens then. They have some responsibility here too, but their fortune is in knowing you for pointing it out to them. What they do with it is theirs. How much you babysit them and help them, that's up to you and them. But make the effort. Kozen Rufu. And as a reminder, the second part of the fourth meditation, as a reminder, why am I doing this? To erase my negative karma created by my own past causes, and to attain and sustain my intrinsic Buddha nature in this lifetime and throughout all time. I think that's kind of self-descriptive. We've all done things we regret. Why do we regret? Because if I'd have just done this, or if I knew I should have held my tongue, but I didn't, and the resulting stuff was really hard to deal with. Or more to the point in Buddhism, somebody else got harmed. Somebody got hurt. Now, they have to bear responsibility for hurt that they invented for themselves, but we can harm others, even inadvertently, and we can regret that later, right? It's all about our actions and our intent, our attitude, right? So we're trying to not erase it, not go back with an eraser and it didn't happen. No, it happened. What we're getting rid of is our attachment to it. Because attachment doesn't mean it makes you happy. It might, but it also means you let things continue to obfuscate your clarity. They make you sad. They make you hurt. You need to let that go, right? Fifth meditation, last meditation, memorial for the deceased. Kind of needs no explanation. But there is a depth to that I do want to say something about. I offer my thoughts of love and appreciation for my deceased relatives and for all who have passed away, especially these individuals. So we've all known at some point in your life you're going to know people who passed away. And some of them may be dear to you and some of them may be just distantly known. But this prayer also, or this meditation also includes those people in Syria, in Rwanda, and I don't know why I can't remember it right now. Yemen, and next door, down the street, people all over that are suffering, that their lives end for many, many different reasons, right? But usually boils down to medical or violence, accident. We want to include those individuals too, because as we said earlier, they're all part of this same inertia. We have this illusion, or we have this structure we've given ourselves. I am so and so's son or daughter. They are so and so's son or daughters, and I have a lineage through them. All right, but what is that lineage? It's a lineage of that inertia which all things are part of, are the same thing of. So, as we remember, as I recall my dead sister, who died of medical reasons at a young age, whom I tried everything that I knew in my life, including a bone marrow transplant, to try to save her life. Uh, it affects me deeply, but it affects me remembering her attributes and the attributes of the systems around her that failed her, some that ameliorated her condition, some that worsened it. But by extension, being in Sloan Kettering, a hospital full of people like Diane, the caregivers in that hospital, the stress and the things that those people saw daily would blow your mind. And suddenly I'm deeply appreciating those people. It makes me want to cry even today, the effort those people put in. The doctors, the effort, the financial effort in creating the hospital, the people who built it. Right, so that's the fifth meditation. Let your mind expand to not just those loved ones specifically, but to the many trees and roots from which they connect to all of us, and even right now. And then to close out Gongyo, we have this meditation to bring all of those thoughts with respect to the Lotus Sutra, the teachings, the Dharma, and to use everything that we've learned from that Dharma to influence the world at large. Our own lives, certainly, but the world at large. So there you have it. It's simple. Gongyo. Just do it. All right. Well, uh, I'm listening to myself having done this recording. Um, I hope it had some things in it to help you in your practice. Um, it may have just piqued your interest about some things that now you want to make comments on or email me about. And I very much encourage you to do so. Uh, I can offer, in my experience, a lot of different perspectives, but I don't know them all. So your questions will help me develop better answers and deepen my practice. So I'm profoundly aware that you're all different from me, but that we're all doing the same thing. And that just sent a little shiver through my heart. Thank you. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Take care of your health. Respect those around you. And I'll see you in the next one, okay?